Hi everyone, my name is Diana. Welcome back to my sewing room. I want to thank you for watching the last video that I did about Tucker tools. And Frank gave me a call and he said, would you like to do another video? I said, sure, I'd love to. So today I'm going to talk to you about another tool, and it is actually a Creative Grids tool. It is called the Roundup tool. And this tool will do things like make circles, things like that, but the pattern that I have used it for is called the Orange Peel Table Runner. And this is the first project that I did with it, and as you can see, it makes a really cute table runner pattern. This pattern is fantastic because you can use either a charm pack or a layer cake, and I know last week we had that great sale on charm packs and layer cakes. So this takes 12 charm pack squares, or if you wanted to, you could cut up some layer cake squares into 5-inch squares and use that as well. I also made a larger project with this just to see how it would turn out. And I made a wall hang. And as you can see here, I used almost a whole entire charm pack for this one. I used 36 squares for this, and this is really cute. I think it would make a great gift for a child to put in their room. As you can see for this one, I actually used the charm pack version of the Moda Good Day fabric. So it turned out really well. So let's get started on how to make these little squares. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is gather your supplies together. And you're going to need, like I said, you're going to need the Roundup tool by Creative Grids. You're going to need your Orange Peel Table Runner pattern from Cut Loose Press. Again, a layer cake or a charm pack. And you're also going to need some fusible web. We have this available on the website. You can look for Light Steamosine 2, or we also have another product called Fusibond Light from Lazy Girl Designs. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut a 5-inch square out of your fusible web, and you will take the glue side and you will press that to the back side of your charm pack. And follow the manufacturer's instructions on how to do that. Those come with your fusible web. And then the next thing that you're going to want to do is you will take your Roundup tool, and you can see there's two different sizes here. There's a 4-inch size and a 5-inch size. And we want to use the 5-inch size. And what I'm going to do is I am going to line that up on my square. And you can see it fits perfectly within that 5-inch square. And I am going to cut that piece off, and then I'm going to turn my fabric, and I'm going to line up this dark line that's on the other side of the ruler with the side that I just cut, and I'm going to trim the other side off. And this is really easy to do with your rotary cutter. If you're scared of cutting curves, this is a really gentle way to ease you into that. So the next thing you're going to do is the pattern tells you what size square to cut. You're going to take a 6-inch square, and you are going to fold that in half diagonally, give it a little press, and what that does is that gives you a nice line to line up your orange peel on. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the piece of paper that's on the back of this orange peel that you just cut, and you're going to peel that off. And you will see on the back there's a shiny glue left, and that's what you're going to use to adhere that to the fabric. So you will take your iron and you're just going to press that on to that 6-inch square, and what you're going to do is you're going to line up those points on that line that you pressed into your fabric. You're going to want to center it roughly on the square. So now you've got this, and we are going to do some raw edge applique, which is a lot of fun. So what do you need to do raw edge applique? Well, I'm going to take you over to my machine here in a minute and show you how I do raw applique on my Janome machines. But you're also going to need some thread. So I know a lot of you are involved with Thread of the Month, and Glide thread is really great for this. We use it mostly for embroidery, but for something like this, it works really well. For piecing, you want to use Aurifil 50 weight cotton, and this works really well also to do your applique stitching. But if you want to use some of the great colors that you have available to you through Thread of the Month, this is a really great time to use that for something other than your embroidery projects. So the other thing that you'll want to do is, if you are going to use your glide thread, look for a Filtech bobbin that we have available on the website and put that into your bobbin. This is a really fine weight polyester thread that is pre-wound and works really, really well with your glide thread. It is manufactured by Glide. So here in just a second, I'm going to take you over to my sewing machine and show you how to do some raw edge applique. Okay, so here we are at my machine, and as you can see, I have a Janome 15,000. The different features that I'm going to be talking about will be good for your 9mm Janome machines. So your 9400s, your 9450s, your Skyline series, they all have this feature. If you are interested in hearing any more about those machines, call the shop and ask for Costa. He is a Janome National Educator and can tell you a lot about what these machines can do. Also, some of the tips and tricks that we're talking about here today are things that Costa and I go over in our Janome Club. So if you are local to us here in the Triangle area and have a Janome machine, call the shop when we are actually able to have classes again. Costa and I will be teaching Janome Club and telling you some tips and tricks about your Janome machines. So first off, let's talk about what we're going to do. We're going to do some raw edge applique. And as you can see here on this piece, I have used what's known as a blanket stitch to applique this onto the fabric. And you can see that I used thread that was similar in color to my pieces that I appliqued onto the background. For the demonstration that I'm going to show you today, I'm going to use a contrasting color so you guys can see how that works and how the blanket stitch works. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off over here on our main panel of our machine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my home button. And as you can see, I've got all these options and choices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that T-shirt button right there. And again, like I said, these are available to you on your 9mm machines. Once you hit that T-shirt button, you're going to go to the applique setting. I'm going to press applique. And you can see here I've got several different stitches that I can do. So I'm going to do this first one here. What that shows you is that the outside stitch is going to go on the edge of the fabric, and then that other stitch is going to jump over onto the fabric here and stitch that down to your background fabric. So that's what this piece tells me here. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to press this button right here. This is your pivot button. When you stop as you're sewing with this button, what happens is your needle will go to the down position and your pretzel foot will lift up slightly to allow you to turn your fabric. So basically this is like having a knee lift without having to use a knee lift. The other thing that I'm going to talk about when I get going is this B button here. And what this button does is when you stop and you hit the B button, it takes you back to the beginning of your stitch. So if you are turning a corner around your applique, it allows you to stop here and then turn, and then the stitch will start over from the beginning right here as you go through. So we're going to go ahead and I am going to stitch this for you. So the other thing that's great on a lot of your 9mm machines, and this specifically for your 9400s, your 9450s, and your 15,000s, is they come with these fantastic magnifying glasses. And one of the things that I discovered as I was doing some of this applique is that I really couldn't see what I was doing that well because my thread matched my fabric so well. So I chose to pull out my magnifying glass and hook it up so that I could see exactly what I was doing. The other thing that I want you to note is that I am actually using an applique foot. That is my F foot on my Janome machine. This allows me to see everything that I'm doing and see where my stitches are going. So I'm going to put this back on the machine and I'm going to get started. And one of the things that you may want to do before you get started with this is do a little practice piece first. So take a little extra fabric and applique it down and practice your stitching before you actually do it on your pieces that are going to go into your table runner or your quilt. So I'm going to get started And I am going to just very carefully watch how that stitching is working. And I want to keep my needle right on the edge of that top fabric, not the background fabric, but the top fabric, so this edge here. And as it goes around, it's stitching that into place. So you don't ever want to just leave the fabric with just the fusible web. You do want to stitch it down to make sure that it stays on your quilt, because once you wash it, there is a possibility that that will come up. This secures that top piece onto your fabric. So as I'm coming to the end of the first side here, you're going to see what I was talking about with that pivot function. Okay, so as you can see, my presser foot has raised just slightly, and my needle is in the down position, allowing me to turn my piece. Then I'm going to hit the B button, which is going to take me back to the beginning of the stitch, and I'm going to get started going down the other side. And I actually, once I got started doing this, I found it really addictive. I thought, oh, I'll do 3 or 4, come back and do 3 or 4 more. I ended up sitting down and doing all 36 for my larger wall hanging piece all in one go. So it is a lot of fun. It does allow your applique to be really beautiful. I have found this stitch works really great on applique edging. And for those of you that may not have a 9mm machine, you can usually find the blanket stitch right on there as well. But there are some other great stitches that you can use as well. So if you have a smaller machine, a zigzag stitch would work really well for this. Also, on your larger machines, you have great decorative stitches. Take a look and see what you can do with those as well. You may not want to just do a blanket stitch or a zigzag. You may want to use one of your decorative stitches. So here I am at the end, and I'm just going to press my button and cut that thread off. And as you can see, I've got a perfectly appliqued piece right here. So I'll meet you back at my cutting table in just a second, and we'll wrap this up. So not only is the roundup tool great for cutting out these pieces that you would use for your orange peel table runner or a quilt, the other thing that you can do with it is use it for marking your quilts for quilting, and that's what I did on this piece here. If you can see here, I used the smaller 4-inch orange peel for the inner part of this, and then I used the larger curve on the outside, and I drew directly on my fabric and just stitched with my walking foot right over that. It works really well for that. I also did this piece here in the middle using the 4-inch side of the ruler. So one of the other things that I did is your machines have some really great decorative stitches, and I just used a really cool serpentine stitch to stitch the outer border of this. So the whole project itself is really easy, really fun to do, and is something you can quilt directly on your machine with your walking foot. So once again, the things that you'll need to make this pattern are a charm pack or a layer cake, your roundup tool by Creative Grids. This is all available on the website. Your cut loose press pattern, orange peel table runner, and again, this is available on the website as well. One other thing that I wanted to mention to you guys is that we have been nominated for Indie Week's Best of the Triangle, and we are nominated as Best Arts and Crafts Store. So if you get a chance, we'd really appreciate it if you could go to indieweek.com, Best of the Triangle, and vote for us under the Best Arts and Crafts Store. Once again, we really appreciate you sticking with us through this time while we're sheltering at home, and we hope to see you very soon in the store. Have a great day.